It's another day's journey, and I can't tell you how glad I am about it to be able to come into your homes, your devices, or wherever you are in the midst of the pandemic to give you 15 minutes of inspiration. I'm your pastor of Internet and Innovation, Vance Ross, and you are tuned in to New Birth's platform where our senior pastor is Dr. Jamal Harrison Bryant, and we are always excited to be able to share with you, to inspire you for just a few minutes. So if you do what you know we do here, if you would tag 10, text 10, share with 10 right now, at least share with 10 of each, letting them know that the 15 minutes of lunchtime daily inspiration has begun. If you want to follow me, I want to follow you back. You can go on any platform on social media and meet me at I am Vance Ross, and I will see you there every time. To get all the preliminaries out of the way, I want to do that because I'm so excited about today's inspiration. We're in the midst of a series that we've had going on, and it has blessed me, and I hope that it has blessed you the same way. We're calling it the Kingdom Pandemic. The Kingdom Pandemic. There is an outbreak in the kingdoms that God has called us to. And it's our responsibility with our purpose, our business, and our life to operate in those kingdoms at the highest level so God can be glorified. And I know you want to know how to make this happen. We're on part 6. Can you believe it? Part 6 today is about communication. Today is about communication. It's that opportunity for you to realize how to connect one side of the communication to the other side so that success is done, obtained, and maintained on a consistent basis. I've shared with you over this last couple of weeks that in a kingdom dynamic, it changes your perspective of how you see the Bible. Realizing that the Bible is not just a spiritual document. The Bible is a plan for operating in the multiple places in the kingdoms that are highlighted. And we've been highlighting since last week a gentleman named Daniel. And we're still staying with Daniel because he has some tools, some tips, and some insight that helps us operate for a kingdom pandemic. You realize that my professional moniker is the Kingmaker, and it's my job, my purpose, my duty in life to touch at least 1 billion people before I die and help them obtain their optimum level of purpose, greatness, and success. But the original Kingmaker is Daniel, because Daniel has been connected to at least 5, max 7 kings from the time he was a teenager till his adult life. And his job is to be behind the scenes, helping propel them to their optimum level of kingdom success. And within this, Daniel has some insight, some tools, and some tips for us to maximize our communication. And I'm calling this session, Speaking Multiple Languages Within the Kingdom. Speaking multiple languages within the kingdom. Realize that there are those of you who are watching that often must communicate one message to several different ears that have no understanding of your expertise. And because this is what you've been called to do, they think they hear you. But the language barrier is so great that you must master speaking in tongues. I know that blew you away because you've seen tongues from just one point of view, but Daniel helps us when we look at this through the kingdom lens, realize that many of you have the gift of speaking in tongues in the kingdoms. Why? Because it's allowing one form of communication to be conveyed so that it is clear by an expert that is able to translate it for optimum success in another communication space. What does that mean? You must understand that expertise and clarity are required to successfully speak and interpret multiple languages. And as a result, this will allow us to accumulate wins in our designated area. Did you hear that? Your expertise in understanding and clearly communicating on a successful level will allow you to speak and interpret multiple languages. And as a result, you will accumulate wins in your designated area. Let me make it simple for you. I'm not only just a preacher and operate in ministry, the word meaning meeting the needs of people, but I am also a marketplace master, a business owner, owner of a marketing and strategic development firm. And I focus on the mainstream, who you are from your purpose, from your personal life, from your emotions, your relationships. And when I go into the space of government with my government clients, as much as I love the preaching moment, I cannot go in the meeting laying hands on the president, the mayor, or the governor. But I do understand that they need marketing, they need strategic development, they need branding in their spaces. They think they understand marketing, but as an expert, I can speak the language that they do not understand, interpret it, and allow them to speak to the people that they've been designed to target for accumulated and consistent success. It's because I communicate my expertise in a different kingdom, and God still gets the glory, so that it is translated so that both people are hearing the message clearly. And this is what Daniel has done. And I want to challenge you to realize that if you only speak one language without clearly interpreting what is being communicated for the edification of those who need clarity and betterment, your ministry in the marketplace will be minimized. You've got to be able to expand your language ability. You've got to be able to be diversified in your communication. You cannot go into this space just because you came out of the church space and now everything is bless your God, lift up your holy name, because it is not the language of that particular kingdom. God can still get the glory, but you've got to be able to speak in the tongue of that language. And here in this passage, when you focus on this segment of Daniel's life, there is a king named Belshazzar, and he is a legacy leader. He's responsible for the economy and the military. And now Daniel has to help him interpret what they call handwriting on the wall. Realize that in this moment, you have to help people who you've been called to in kingdoms interpret the handwriting based off of your expertise. And there are a few ways that you'll be able to do that, and I'll help you. This is a good time to share. This is a good time to take your notes. How will you be able to communicate and speak in tongues in the kingdoms that you've been called to, so that your purpose, your plan, as well as your business is operating on the highest functioning level possible? First of all, be able to clearly read before you speak. Be able to clearly read before you speak. Extracting the valuable concepts necessary to impact the listener is key. And many of us are speaking without reading. We've got to make sure that one of the biggest components of speaking in tongues in the area that you've been called to, the kingdom that you've been called to, is understanding how to clearly read the circumstance before you speak to it. Don't go in speaking to the circumstance until you understand the culture. Don't go in speaking to the circumstance until you understand the players at the table. Don't go in until you read the environment before you speak the word. And this is an important dynamic, because Daniel understands that there are soothsayers, there are other interpreters there, and he reads the environment, understanding that being able to read helps him speak clearly. You cannot speak what you haven't digested. And this is a key in the kingdom space. When you're talking about communicating, you've got to understand who you're speaking to before you open your mouth. And many of us will find success in our kingdoms when we read the environment before we speak to it. Sometimes it is best that you say nothing. It is best that you keep your mouth closed. It's best that you learn how to be dumb enough to be smart enough. I said something. You've got to learn how to be dumb enough to be smart enough. You got to sometimes quiet yourself down so people think you know nothing, so that when you open your mouth, they'll realize you know what you need to know. You know what you need to know because you've read it, you've interpreted, you understand it, and now you can speak it. But not only must you be able to clearly read before you speak, but number two, you have to be comfortable, confidently speaking, because you were sought out to do so. You have to be comfortable, confidently speaking because you were sought out to do so. Recognize that there will be no need for handwriting on the wall if the king simply follows the normal protocol of seeking before he speaks. Understand that you can eliminate a lot of individuals in the kingdom from failing if you simply become confident to speak when they called you and sought you out. There's no reason for you to be a consultant and not be able to tell people what they need to do. It's no reason for you to be an expert and not be able to speak with confidence. It's no reason for you to be called into a ministry and keep your mouth closed when you know that you've been sought out for this purpose. And this is the challenge that minimizes communication, that many of us are quiet when we should be talking, and many of us are talking when we should be quiet. But if you've been sought out for this purpose, if you've been called into this place to create change, if you have been placed here for a purpose, you now have to have the confidence to speak up because you can stop handwriting from coming on the wall. You are now a change agent. You are now a stop sign on the road to destruction simply because you've been sought out. Somebody ought to type on the screen, I'm confident enough to speak, because you've been sought out. And this is the moment that Daniel teaches us. We got to be comfortable knowing that the confidence that God has put in us based off of the call he's placed us to allows us to speak up and stop the handwriting. Not only should you be able to clearly read before you speak, not only should you be comfortable confidently speaking because you were sought out to do so, but you must be able to define the message in the meaning. You must be able to define the message in the meaning. Sometimes you are there to clean up, define, and clarify that which no one else has the capability to do. That's why your voice is necessary. There are things that God has defined for you to do that they won't hear unless you speak it. Realize that there were other soothsayers and there were other individuals who studied the stars. And when that party came down, when the king had defiled the sacred vessels, when he's at this midnight ball, all of a sudden the digits from a man's hand starts writing on the wall without a writing utensil. And because of the fact that he could read it but couldn't interpret it, he realizes that there are people who have helped him in the past, but there's only one person that can help him in the present. And I want to challenge you to realize that you have been designed and called to define a message that will give meaning to the people that you've been called to. It's beneath you to stay quiet in this moment. Your tongue is been designed to open up your mouth and create meaning for the message. You have been called here for this purpose. The king says, Daniel, it is clear to me, I can read it, but I don't understand what it says. And sometimes you have to realize that a pandemic has broke out so that people have to stop to call your name. The message on the wall said, Mene, Mene, Tekel, Upharsin. He could read it, but he couldn't understand it. And the only way he could get answers is if Daniel showed up to interpret it. Daniel spoke in tongues in the kingdom, and he says, King, you have been weighed in the balances of God, and now you're found wanting. In other words, your time is up. You have expired on the clock of God. And now because he sent me, so that you won't minimize his purpose any longer, I can speak what you can't understand. And I hope that shouts you to help you understand that your business plan has put you in a place to speak what others didn't understand. Your purpose in life has put you in a place to speak what others don't understand. Your life has driven you to the place where you can now speak in tongues. You can interpret what nobody else can interpret. You were frustrated because you got laid off, not realizing that he put you in the place so that you'd have enough confidence to speak what nobody else could understand. You thought that when you lost the house, it was over, but now he's put you where you are, and you're living better now than you lived live before you lost it. You know why? Because your tongue has been designed to speak what nobody else can understand. You are not going crazy. You are not getting ready to fall off the rocker. You have been put in this position because God is calling you out to operate in a space that they won't understand it till you show up. There's a title designed for you that doesn't make sense to nobody else, but it's for you. And once you show up there, don't dial down, don't dumb down, don't shut your mouth. Speak boldly and spare not. Let them know that God has called you to this kingdom to change it for his behalf. And you need to learn how to communicate, because once you open your mouth, God will make a way. It's about communication. And there's an outbreak in the kingdom. There's a pandemic. And this pandemic of crisis has been designed to help you communicate what nobody can say but you. Parting is such sweet sorrow. I'm out of my time, but I'm thankful for yours. And because we realize that communication is key, I don't want to be derelict in communicating to you that God has need of you. And this is the place where you can get everything you need for what you've been called to. And we want you to not just be friends. We want you to be family. We don't want you to be quiet. We want you to speak out, and we want you to do it being connected to Christ. And if you take a moment today to just go to newbirth.org and click the join button, and we're communicating to you that God loves you without a doubt. And we want to be the church that you're connected to along this journey. On top of that, you may want to communicate your appreciation for God sending a message directly to you, and you can invest in through communication of worship, telling God, I appreciate you, and I want to give back to the kingdom of God that you have placed at New Birth. If you would text NBGIVE right now to 77977 and invest right now, whether it's 20, 40, 60, 80-fold on your offering, your tithe, or your other expression of giving, do it right now. And you may need prayer wherever you are. We are praying for you, and we are ready to intercede on your behalf. Just email us at prayer@newbirth.org. We're praying. We want you to win. And during this pandemic in the kingdom, this outbreak has been designed for you. I'm so grateful for you. Keep sharing, keep tagging, keep tuning in, because we're doing more than just doing church. We're delivering service through inspiration. Thank you for your time. I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Have a virus-free, drama-free remainder of the day, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace.